Well, it is called Small Smiles, but in its dental clinics all over the country, children left in tears. Last December, we first showed you a disturbing videotape of children strapped in restraints undergoing multiple root canals while their parents are kept out of the room. Now, the man who once ran the Irondequoit branch here is speaking out for the first time. He was jailed for fraud, but in a follow-up to our 13 WHAM investigation, he tells Jane Flash some of the procedures that so traumatized children weren't even necessary. We want to warn you that some of the video in this story is difficult to watch if you have small children or children that are on their way to the dentist soon. They may not want to watch this. Here's our report.
Cut.
Yeah. Rochester's Small Smiles office opened with a promise to serve children who don't get regular dental care. Yet 14 months later, its director was hauled into a Monroe County court. Dr. David Gardner pleaded guilty to grand larceny and left Rochester for prison. Now, for the first time, he wants to come clean about what he says was going on behind closed doors right here on Ridge Road.
Taxpayer dollars are being wasted because they're paying for treatment that's not getting done, treatment that doesn't need to be done, and children aren't being treated like children.
I have all my teeth gone up here and down here on each side.
Ashley Soanes was a patient during that time. 9 of her teeth were extracted.
Do you think you needed to have all those teeth pulled?
No, I don't, because some of them just had cavities that could have been filled, and they just took them out. They were like, well, we're going to have to take out one more to get, so you can have a partial.
We checked with another dentist. He did not want to be interviewed for this story, but was willing to review Ashley's x-rays. He confirmed at least 2 of her teeth could have been saved, but her file did not contain enough information about the rest. Ashley never did get the promised partial. It was denied. And take a look at the mouths of some very young Small Smiles patients.
And then the front 4 are crowns also.
Dentists dispute whether root canals and crowns are the best treatment option for young patients, but Gardner says he was under pressure from the corporation to make $1 million each year.
And the biggest thing you can do is do those baby root canals and crowns, because that's $220 that Medicaid does not question. And it's just $220, $220, $220.
The Rochester office would not allow our cameras inside, but Gardner says they routinely used another controversial technique to restrain children. This video was taken at a Small Smiles in Maryland. That's Miguel. He's strapped to a papoose board, which holds his body and arms immobile. Gardner says papoose boards were encouraged in order to complete 4 or more root canals at one time, even though it left kids frightened and stressed.
Stressed out enough to wet their pants, sweat completely through all of their clothing, be soaking wet.
And how were they told to handle that?
Clean them up as best you can before you get back to mom or dad.
Back in Rochester, Ashley Soanes says both she and her younger brother Wesley were physically held down.
My heart was racing, I was shaking, it felt like my blood was rushing through my body.
Their mother never even knew. It's Small Smiles policy not to allow parents to be with their children.
I trusted them. That's their job.
Since our reports first aired in December, Small Smiles has changed some policies here. Parents are now allowed to be with their children during dental procedures. Restraint procedures are posted, and parents must sign off on them first. As for Gardner, the company characterizes him as someone with an axe to grind. Gardner confessed to billing Medicaid for work he didn't do. Investigators say Small Smiles cooperated in the investigation against him and even repaid nearly $500,000. Gardner has surrendered his medical license and now sells RVs in Indianapolis. He says he was pressured into the Small Smiles way of doing business with an understanding that if caught, he would be taken care of.
I've lost my career. I've lost my livelihood.
Now, an independent review of the Small Smiles Rochester office was conducted last month by a member of the pediatric dentistry program at SUNY Buffalo, a respected member. He concludes that restraints, crowns, and other procedures are being used in the proper manner there. However, we were not allowed to see a copy of the review documents, and the reviewer spent only half a day at the clinic and did not interview parents. Criminal investigations, meanwhile, are underway in several states, including here in New York. Don.
Many of us have crowns and metal, but to see that much metal in children so young, I think is unusual.
It's really striking. In fact, children can develop bad habits as infants, and that can lead to some severe dental decay before they even hit school age. It is actually a growing problem here in our community. We're going to have more on that tomorrow night at 6.
All right, we'll look for your report then. Thanks, Jane.